Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Sal. This is going to be the first video that I will be conducting with Sal's Cigars reviews and more. Basically what I want to go ahead and do is start this channel. It's going to be like I said in the title, it's going to be about a bunch of cigar reviews. We're going to be discussing basic humidor care. I want to be discussing as far as what you guys do, different options, different, helping develop some of our palates. I know when I first started, I've actually been enjoying cigars for the last going on 11 years myself. I've always kind of wanted to do something similar to this, but never really decided to jump straight in because of the fact that I felt my palate hadn't been fully developed yet. Wanted to make sure I kind of did a lot of my own trial and errors as far as things to see what worked best for me, what didn't. That way I could kind of go ahead and bring my experiences and stories to you all, and then we can kind of go from there and even compare, have a couple laughs together. As far as this, like I said, this channel, we are going to go ahead and go over some of the cigars that I have in my personal humidor. I actually have 3, and go from there as far as maybe there's been a cigar that you're kind of been having your eyeball on, but just hadn't decided. Hopefully, like I said, these cigars, they are going to be honest reviews. I'm not sponsored. I'm not doing anything by anyone, so these are just going to be upfront, honest answers. Even then, still too, my palate's still developing, so we're going to be able to kind of go through these experiences together. But as far as everything, like I said, everyone's palate is different. You may like a cigar that I don't care for, and it may be vice versa. But of course, in the comments, I would definitely like to kind of, be engaging as far as everything, because I want to go ahead and see what you guys are enjoying, what's something that's kind of, cigar that you guys have had your all's eye on. And hey, maybe we can even do, a review going onto that particular cigar from there in the future, as well as maybe even working our way into different products that kind of work better. My personal self, because of the fact that I'm kind of maxing out at 3 humidors, I am finally looking into getting an electric, what do they call them? The winadors now. Been kind of doing my research on those. So that's going to be definitely coming up in the future, and definitely taking a look at what I personally have, what I do as far as my general maintenance, as far as care for everything that I own regarding my cigars. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and kind of jump straight into the cigar that we're going to be featuring for today. It's going to be the Gran Habano. It's going to be the Corojo number 5. As you see there, it's got a really, really nice band, in my opinion, as far as with the white, with the gold. You got the red and the green kind of to give it those little colors. And as you kind of, of course, see there, you got the Corojo number 5 and the gold writing. So it really does stand out, especially in your humidor. Now, this particular one is not something that I just picked up as far as going into a simple brick and mortar shop or ordering it online. I've actually had this particular one going on, I would say about going on close to 3 years now in my humidor. I did pick up a bundle back in, like I said, about 3 years ago, and I'm down to about my last 5 or 6. So, these are one of the few ones that I have, but I still wanted to go ahead and review it and, kind of let you guys know how this is kind of going. But as you can kind of see there, I'll kind of go ahead and close up for you. You do see that nice Corojo wrapper, a little bit of veins, as you can see, kind of going all through there. Cap, you can go ahead and kind of take a look at it. There you are. Sorry if it is a little bit out of focus. You'll definitely have to bear with me as I kind of figure out how to go through all this. But overall, this particular size is a Grand Robusto. This is coming in at a 6x54 ring gauge. Now, as this particular cigar is going more towards the full body spectrum, so you are going to get a little bit more bolder flavors when you come into it. So if this is one of your first cigars, this is something that you kind of want to prepare for if you are wanting to work up into that full body. Just understand that you are going to get a little bit more flavor, more bold flavors, kind of a punch out of it than you would, of course, in the mild to medium range as far as flavors go. Now, when it comes to, of course, the wrapper, like we did say, this is a Corojo. This does come from a Nicaraguan Corojo wrapper. You also have the binder, which is a Nicaraguan as well, and going into the fillers of Nicaraguan and Costa Rica fillers, which is really nice. Now, this particular stick here, you got it going roughly in the $7 to $8 price range, depending where you can find it, whether you get it, in the singles or in the 5-pack, 10 packs. You can get them in a bunch of different quantities now. So as far as everything, initial impressions, you know, it does have a nice oily wrapper to it. It's got a little bit of toothiness, little veins kind of going. But overall, it is, as you can, well, you can't tell, but you do have more of a firm packing. You don't have really any soft spots. Yeah, no. Overall, nice pack. Initial impressions on it, you do get a real earthy flavor. You know, in my opinion, you're kind of getting more of a cedar note as far as everything, just from off the initial smell. Yeah, you do get more of a cedar note going into it. A slight spice, a little earthiness kind of going along with it. Of course, you know, flavors will develop going more into it especially once we light it. So let's go ahead and cut this right now. As far as my reviews, like I said, a lot of mine are going to be more of a one take. It's not going to be kind of editing multiple different times. I will show you from pictures as far as a little bit more close-ups regarding the cigar itself. That way you guys can take a little bit closer look. Now, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post that on the comments, and we will definitely go ahead and take a look at it and review it, and we'll kind of go and figure things out. But overall, for my personal taste, I am more towards the medium to full body cigars. I do have the occasional, you know, Connecticut's and mild cigar ranges to kind of just mix up the palate a little bit, because I did notice that after a while you kind of do get a little bit bland, in my opinion, when you're smoking more or less the same day in and day out. So I do try to go ahead and mix it up a little bit every so often. Whenever I do travel, I do kind of stop by local shops to kind of see what they have, you know, see what's being done, what's new, what's exciting. But overall too, another big thing, because I do support a lot of local rollers, which more of them are going to be, see, I'm actually here, you know, I didn't even bring that up, so I apologize, but I'm actually here located in Texas, in South Texas. So a lot of these type of shops that do have like their own rollers, you know, or coming out with their own house blends, it's going to be more towards upstate. So locally around me, there's not even really any, you know, a good cigar bar, I guess you could say, or cigar lounge, as far as things where I can just kind of go and kick my feet up, go check a nice walk-in humidor, and sit down with a couple buddies. So that's another big reason why I'm kind of making this, is because I want to go ahead and kind of, you know, have conversations with different individuals from, you know, different places, and kind of see what you guys have in your area. You know, like I said, this isn't really big as far as in my particular where I live at, so, which is, you know, it's a little disappointing, but, you know, hopefully maybe one day we can change that, or, you know, maybe one day someone ends up making a lounge, or hey, you never know where this may take us. But all in all, I definitely love interacting with people, love getting to talk to them, seeing their story, kind of, and just enjoying a smoke. I mean, that's what it really is all about. It's about enjoying the different flavors. It's about enjoying, you know, just taking our time, relaxing. Life is busy enough as it is, especially now with COVID. If you got kids, if you got a wife, if you got family, you know, whatever it is you maybe got going on in your life, it's nice to just say, you know what, for this next hour and a half, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to just relax. You know, that's exactly what a lot of us need to do, because we are just wound to so tight, it's crazy. You know, everything we got going on in this world, you know, just sit down, relax, let's just have a smoke. Let's focus on these flavors. Let's go and figure out, develop that palate. Let's see what we can kind of pull out from this particular cigar, or whatever cigar you may be smoking at that time, and just relax. You know, and that's like I said, that's basically what this is going to be all about. It's just having a good time. So going off of a quick, obviously a draw. Let's see here. Now, as far as the draw, it is a little bit tighter than what I prefer. It's not, you know, overly on a spectrum, I guess you could say. Let's say one being a horrible tightly draw where you can't get nothing. You know, I mean, you're not even, nothing's gonna happen. Vice going to 10, which is the perfect draw. I would honestly rate this, you know, a solid maybe 6.5 going into the 7 range. Like I said, you do kind of just sense that tightness in it. Might just be because of the packing, you know, hopefully that develops a little bit more. But off of the initial draw, I do get the taste of cedar. Right now, the flavors are just a little bit muted, but I am picking up some cedar, picking up a little earthiness, I guess you can say. And towards the end of that drop, you kind of feel like there's gonna be a bit of spice. You know, obviously not yet, but you do kind of just get that little hint of, you know, spice that's probably gonna be coming. But all right, let's go ahead and get this lit, and then we will go ahead and see what the initial thoughts are as far as when we first started, and then we'll go into the first third. So just bear with us and let's go ahead and get this lit. All right, guys, we're back. So I decided to go ahead and come outside because it's actually a really nice day out right now. Even though South Texas, yeah, it is, gets us to about 100-degree weather, but right now it's got that nice breeze out. Figured, why not? I am waiting for them to kind of actually come and fix the window on my truck. We actually were, coming back from eating out and, you know, going through those construction areas. I just heard that rock just pa, and you know, with that right sound, you know it cracked something. Sure enough, my driver's side window ended up getting about a, you know, a nice little 2-inch crack on it. So I'm just waiting for the Safe Light guys to get here, so I figured why not be out here and enjoy a smoke while we're out. So let's go ahead and get this lit. So just in case if you are new to smoking, right now I am toasting the foot. Basically what I'm doing is taking the torch lighter and just kind of going around the edge to kind of really get that seam, actually, you know, connected to the overall cigar, I guess you could say, itself. Now, when lighting, don't ever really use the direct torch. I use the off heat to kind of help me do this. Takes a couple seconds longer, but it's definitely worth it. There we go. Very nice, very smooth. But overall initial impressions, you are getting that cedary taste, that cedar. Getting a little bit of a spice towards the back end, especially going towards the end of the retrohale. A little bit of leather. I don't want to say coffee yet, but you know, kind of not, the best way I could put it would be not like a latte or something, you know, coffee with like cream or milk or sugar. It's kind of more of like a black coffee, right? You know, that more of that bitter coffeeness. That's what you're getting at the initial start. So right now we just lit it, like I said, as you can see there. So burn, but we're still developing it. As far as everything, like I said, you do got that slight stiffness in the draw, like I was mentioning to you earlier. It's not as open or smooth as I personally would like it. As far as the smoke output though, fairly decent, but like I said, I think we are hindering ourselves just a little bit because of that slight draw. Still, overall a good, I would say, daily smoke so far. We still need to obviously get through a lot. But let's go ahead and see what the remainder of this first third goes. I will be back with you guys and give you some more updates. So far we're about maybe 10 minutes in. As you can see here, the ash so far is not white, but it's got that slight gray hue to it, if you will. I know I'm under the shade, but let me see. Yeah, so far holding steady. As you can see, let me go ahead and just kind of rotate that. You can see the burn. It's okay. You know, it's not razor sharp, but no touch-ups. So one thing I've noticed so far is that cedar note that I first mentioned. It wasn't really predominant, but you could taste it, right? Right now it's kind of mellowed out just a little bit. As far as everything, I'm getting kind of a creaminess a little bit to this, which is really, really nice. That little cedar, little cream kind of going into it. It's very, very smooth, right? The smoke itself is not still overly abundant, like I said. Not a huge output, but like I said, I don't know if that's, you know, I think that's more going towards because, you know, of the draw not being as smooth, in my opinion. Because I have had others that I had great smoke output. So as far as construction, you know, leading into that aspect, I think it's more of one of those type of issues. But, you know, excuse me. Overall, the flavors are very, very smooth. Like I said, creaminess. You can tell, still tell that a slight pepper is wanting to develop. It's still not there yet. I would say it's very, very subtle, but you are getting a lot more creaminess, a little bit of leather. You still get, like I said, that cedar note in the background. It went from the foreground to a little bit more towards the back. That creaminess is a little bit more in front of it now. I mean, it's still kind of neck and neck on that, but it is overall very, very nice, very smooth. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to say a pairing, if you will, because, you know, people have different tastes as far as everything, whether you're drinking, you know, a nice glass of whiskey, whether you're doing mixed drinks, whether you know, whether it's a beer, whatever it may be. You know, personally myself, I'm just outside enjoying a cool Big Red. You can't go wrong with that. To be honest with you, I would just needed something to kind of wet my whistle. But with the cigar, if I do may say so, it actually goes pretty darn well, in my opinion. I don't know what it is, like how I mentioned that bitter, slight bitter coffee taste, that black coffee, you know, I was mentioning that earlier. It kind of added that little sweetness, so it kind of evened it out a little bit. So it's really, really nice, in my opinion. But I mean, overall, guys, what is it that you guys kind of lean more towards? You know, do you prefer medium to full body cigars, or do you prefer more of that, you know, mild to medium? I know when I first started, I was going more towards actually that medium build as far as you know, cigar wise, because I felt, in my opinion, I could handle it, but I kind of quickly learned that really wasn't for me. So I did have to start off in that Connecticut wrappers, you know, going more towards that mild to medium side, and then building my way up, just like anything else. Very nice. But you know, I guess my biggest thing too, kind of get another big issue, as far as not issue, but reason why I wanted to do this kind of channel is because of the fact of the limited knowledge that's out there, especially for someone. When I first started, you know, I'm still on the younger side, but you know, starting when I did, you know, I felt cigars were going more towards, oh, you more of a gentleman, you know, more luxury aspect of things, you know, more distinguished fellows, if you will, you know, not some young kid just out of high school going into college type of thing, or you know, still in school. So getting into cigars was a little bit more difficult because you really didn't I don't know, that intimidation, I guess, factor, because, you know, going into a smoke shop, for one, down here, it's not really, like I said earlier, you know, a cigar shop, you know, a standard cigar shop where that's mainly what they deal with. You know, no, here it's more of, you know, you have those pipes, you have for tobacco usage, you know, you got the wrappers, you got those different aspects of things. And sure, they may have, you know, what they call a humidor, and it's just a small little makeshift cabinet with, you know, a couple boxes, and there you go. But when you go ahead and ask them, they have no idea really what they're dealing with. Most of the time they'll tell you that, oh, it's the owner that really knows about this. Sorry, I don't. So as far as the knowledge, you had to kind of go out and find it yourself. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to help the, you know, whether it's the newer generation or even, you know, older folks that are just wanting to get into it too. Because like I said, hearing it from me, going more saying, hey, this is what I've learned, these are the mistakes that I did, and oh, believe me, I did a lot of them, you know. Like I said, learning to what my preference as far as my smoking time, the cigars that I buy now. I don't have no one to impress. I don't need a Churchill. Like I said, my personal palate, my smoking time, it doesn't fit that need, so I don't really do it. I prefer more the Rebusto size. Yes, from time to time, if I can get a great deal on a Churchill, I have no problem going for it, like none at all, you know what I mean? But I know that that's not an everyday smoke to me, or for me, I'm sorry. So keeping that in mind, you know, that's something that we all need to kind of develop. Even when it comes to traveling, you know, like that's a big thing that I'm still, not that I'm learning, but I wouldn't normally travel with my cigars, you know. I would go off and, you know, a little family vacay, whether it's a 2-3 day trip, and I wouldn't have any, you know. Now, with that experience, with that knowledge, knowing what I'm doing, especially with technology nowadays too, I would say, you know, like with the Bovita packs, you know, I love those. It's just really, the progression that's gone through has been really absolutely amazing, and that's because we are still, you know, learning, we're still building new things. But overall, like I said, I mean, it's just about slowing things down and just enjoying it. That's all I'm doing here, you know, enjoying this cigar, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I got to slow down for an hour and just kind of reset, you know. You know, another thing too, kind of going off on this, you know, this is more, besides being just, obviously, as you can already tell, being just a standard review, it's kind of going off a little bit of info about myself and kind of what to expect on upcoming videos and things like that. But I mean, you know, one thing that I kind of always was trying to figure out, it took a while too, is the humidity, you know, that I preferred. You know, saying that, oh, I could figure it out really quickly, no. In my opinion, you don't. It takes years to really figure out and dial in what you like, what you don't like, because for the most part, you're trying to figure out what cigars you like, you know, whether you like that medium, that full body, mild, you know, then going into, hey, you know what, I do like what this company's doing with this particular blend. Hey, I like what that company's doing. You know, the size, the smoking time, everything that kind of correlates all together. And then you got to still figure out, oh, you know what, do I like my cigars at more of the 65%, or do I like them more at the 72%? You know, I think it really depends also on the type of cigars that you're keeping. So then do you need to find that, do you deal with that 70-70 rule, you know? So it's a lot of different factors, and I mean, if you're really passionate about it, You know, this is a great hobby to get into. It's like I said, it's a lot of great people, a lot of information, but it's well worth it when you get to sit down and just enjoy yourself, you know. But overall, I'm having a great time with this Gran Habano. I mean, I really do like the color on the wrapper. I really like the sheen on it. Like I said, I mean, yeah, the ash is a little bit darker, but burn wise, haven't had to touch it up. At first, for a second, I thought I might have to, but it's kind of corrected itself, so it's holding on strong. So flavors are still there. I can see this being kind of going into a, not an everyday smoke. It could, you know, but maybe like an every other day, you know, maybe twice a week type of smoke. I can see myself doing. Me personally, yes, the reason why I've carried mine for so long is because I wanted to kind of see, okay, smoking this one after getting it after a week, after a month, you know, after so much, and kind of experimenting it. And like I said, I was trying to figure out a lot of where I prefer the humidity. I tried it at 65%, you know, going in that drier side. I didn't really care for it. I prefer my cigars a little bit more towards a 70-72%. But that's my taste, that's my palate. But overall, like I said, it's just figuring out what's best for you. That's what this channel is all going to be all about. It's just being honest reviews. You know, there's nothing saying here that's going to be, oh, hey, you guys need to smoke this. No, if it's not that great, hey, it's not that great, or it's not for me. You know, it might be for you. And if you guys have tried it, leave a comment down below. Let's talk about it. Did you get the creamy notes? Did you get that bitter coffee taste? You know, did you, or you know, and if you did, maybe you didn't get it at the beginning. Maybe you got it towards that second, you know, the second third, you know, or the final. You know, maybe you didn't get it at all. Like, what are you developing as far as your palate? Like, what notes are you getting that maybe I overlooked? You know, so overall, it's been great. It's been really, really good. I tell you though, that retro hell is really smooth. That leather taste, you know, and it's funny when I always heard people saying, oh, I'm getting tastes of earthiness or leather. It's kind of like, I don't know if I want to be tasting that, you know, like I'm not gonna be, how do you know what leather tastes like? I mean, I'm not just there sucking on a piece of leather, you know what I mean? Cowhide. It's just, but I think as you kind of establish that taste for it, you kind of like, huh, okay, I can imagine what's in my head saying, you know what, that has a leather quality, or that has that earthiness, what I would imagine, you know, because I mean, I'm not here just grabbing some dirt, obviously, and just saying, oh, that tastes delicious, you know. But all in all, oh, there we go. So we had our first little bit of ash, fell off. It was maybe about an inch on. So, okay. Like I said, this is a first for me because the other ones that I have smoked, I've gotten about maybe like a halfway. But right now I am talking with my hands, so I don't know if that's kind of having a little bit more to do with it. But we're gonna go ahead and smoke this up to the halfway point. All right, guys, so next update. So we are approaching the halfway point. So overall, since that first ash, or that last ash, well, which was the first ash, fell off, as you can see there, we've kind of gone and smoked another inch and a half or so, inch and a half. But as you can see there, the burn overall, it actually improved a little bit, which is nice. You do have a little bit of that small little imperfection there, but overall, nothing to cry home to, you know, nothing to go home and tell mama about. Everything's still kind of holding on strong. The ash is still on that, like I said, grayer side, not full white, but like I said, still holding on like a champ. The burn is nice. Now, when it comes to the flavor profile, it's still holding on to that creaminess. To be honest with you, it has been fairly mellow. Like I mentioned, it's still not a, as I would say, a full punch of a full body from what I'm excuse me, from what I'm used to. You know, it's not just that full pow. It's been a very enjoyable smoke. So, which you know, it's very enjoyable because of the fact of, like I said, you still can really try to pick out some of those notes. What I've kind of picked up on, like I said, you're getting a little bit more of that bitter coffee taste. You are getting now a little bit more of a spice on the retrohale. I mean, it's there. It's a little bit more predominant than it was before, you know, so I do think it is developing now finally, like I was mentioning to you, which is nice because of the fact of that complexity of flavors. It kind of really binds it all together. Yeah, even on, you know, when it comes to cigars, you kind of get that. Sometimes you get like a little bit of a aftertaste, if you will, you know, that kind of prolonged one or two notes that you're getting. Of course, you know, if you're smoking a little bit less, I guess you could say a cheaper cigar, let's just keep it simple, you get more of that bitter tobacco taste. With this, I'm not really having any sort of harsh aftertaste after the retrohale, after everything's said and done. You know, you get more of a cedary leather aftertaste, which it's not over pungent, it's not too strong. It's, you know, I can still feel like I can go about my day and not feel like I'm having that, you know, bitter tobacco taste, you know, that just stays there for hours. No, by no means at all. Honestly, like I said, I mean, I can just pick up and go, continue doing whatever I'm doing without having that, because, you know, as you know, I mean, or if you may know, that some cigars can leave you with that really ugly aftertaste, but this one, like I said, you do not have that. You know, so that leather taste is really nice. It's kind of developing more into not just like a standard, you know, leather, I guess you could say. It's building more into more of like a smoky, you know, a smoky leather, smoky cedar. You know, if you can imagine grilling with those cedar planks, you know, that type of smokiness that you would get off of them, that's kind of what I'm tasting now. You know, that is a really lovely taste right there. Like I said, we're going with that kind of that coffee taste, that light, if you will, kind of more of like a dark chocolate. I don't want to say just a chocolate, because it really isn't like because when I think of chocolate, I think of more of like a milk chocolate. So this has got more of, I could say, like a dark chocolate, you know, a dark coffee type of taste. You know, like I said, there still really isn't like any sweetener in that coffee. It's still just that black coffee, but, or that bitterness from that dark chocolate, but you get those little hints of it, which is nice. And then you got that little pepper at the very end there, that little amount of pepper, especially going towards the retrohale, that really kind of helps open up those nasal passages, but nothing too overbearing, like I said. Now, something that I kind of note, like I was mentioning, if this is something new to you all, when we're discussing some of these tastes, it's something that you're gonna have to experiment with and practice on. Now, one thing that I do myself is what they call purging. Purging and retrohale, I'll kind of go ahead and explain both of those. Purging, of course, is when you're kind of, as you know, when you take a draw of a cigar, you essentially suck in the smoke into your mouth, and then you kind of taste it, right? Purging is the opposite. You kind of blow out, right? Which is, I didn't actually suck in, kind of pushed out a little bit of that smoke, so that way it kind of clears out any of that old, dry smoke, if you will. That way, when you breathe it in for your draw, you get more of that fresh flavors, more of the changes you might be able to pick up a little bit better, vice having that old stale smoke inside your cigar. If that's the best way I can put it. Retrohaling is basically where you breathe in, you know, you have the smoke in your mouth, you exhale about maybe 75% of it, and then you breathe out the remainder throughout your nose, and you kind of taste that remainder, that smoke in your mouth, if you will. You kind of, and you're able to kind of use your senses to kind of help you better dissect the complexity of the flavors and say, oh yeah, I do kind of taste more of that, you know, cedar. Oh, I taste citrus, or whatever it may be, you know, that chocolate, you know, that coffee flavor. And then from there, it kind of helps you develop that palate. Now, when it comes to purging, I do it maybe every 5 to 10 minutes or so. That's just my personal thing. You can do it every time you take a draw. You don't have to do it at all. Up to you. It's kind of what you feel best. But that's just kind of what I'm used to. Let me go ahead and take off this band here, this first band. That's just what I'm used to. Just what I've kind of developed along the time that I've done things. But overall, like I said, Ash is still holding on. So let's just see what other flavors we can go ahead and get out of this. Okay, now that we're actually hitting that, you know, that halfway point, that flavors have been kind of, like I said, developing, you are getting more of that bitter coffee, more of a dark chocolate type of taste. So I think maybe now we're gonna be starting to get more of those bold flavors. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on this a little bit more. I'll let you know as we develop, okay? All right, guys, so we had a new little development. We had another ash fall off. So we are now approaching that final third. And yep, just fell off literally about 30 seconds ago. But overall, the burn is still being pretty nice. Like I said, I haven't had to touch it up, so that works for me. Flavors, as far as it, like I said, that bitterness, that little bit more of, not bitterness, but that coffee, that leathery dark chocolate is becoming more predominant. That spice has become a little bit more muted now, but overall still very pleasant to smoke. As far as everything, like I was mentioning, that draw from the beginning, it's still been pretty consistent throughout, so that really hasn't changed. I thought maybe, hey, it might get a little bit better as time went on. It stayed consistent, which, okay, I'm not, you know, if I was grading it, I wouldn't really dock it points. I would just say, okay, it was at least consistent throughout, so was the entire construction. Like I said, it wasn't overly horrible where I would have had to, you know, what is it, those draw sabers, you know, I forgot the name of it, I can't think of it, but to see about, you know, making a little extra hole in there to make the draw a little bit better, by no means not needed. But, you know, maybe this might suit you a little bit more, but for me, it was just, I mean, like I said, just a hair tighter on the draw than what I'm used to, what I prefer. But overall, we're still doing pretty well. Still enjoying this cigar. Let's see if I can get any more flavors out of this. Yeah, I mean, as far as now, I think we're gonna start pushing more into the coffee, going more into the dark chocolate characteristics now. Most definitely we're pushing away from the creaminess. Now that's kind of, like I said, being a little bit more muted towards the back end of that burner. I still can taste it, but it's not as predominant as when it was in the beginning. So you really do have that shift change, which, don't get me wrong, it is nice. You know, some people prefer more of that consistent flavor profile, while others enjoy that complexity. Personally, I don't really mind either or. Frankly, like I said, I like to mix it up just so I can go ahead and, you know, keep my palate on its toes, if you will. But overall, like I said, you're getting now more of those bold flavors, I guess you can say, more of those, more into the full spectrum. Now, of course, just a quick little tip. Let's say you are trying to still figure out that cigar size, and you start to get that little queasiness, you know, feel like, you know, with those little sweats coming on. You know, we've all been there a time or two. It happens. You know, feeling that green around the gills, you know, a little shakiness. Just kind of stop what you're doing, go get something, you know, cold, a little sugar, you know, get a little candy or get a little sugary drink. That will help you even that out. Once you start feeling that, if you ignore those signs, you are going to get sick, and that may just ruin the taste for cigars for you. And trust me, you don't want to get sick from cigars. Definitely, of course, we're not inhaling it, because that will royally mess you up as well with that coughing. Good Lord, that coughing will definitely get you. And from time to time, it'll happen. But don't think that you can do that. This is, you know, cigar tasting is exactly as is. You're tasting it. We're not, you know, trying to pound all the nicotine into our lungs. We're not trying to do any of that. It's just like wine tasting, how they swish it around their mouth and then they spit in that spittoon. I mean, we're not spitting, you know, which is great, because I don't know. I guess I haven't really tried that enough to maybe give that a fair once over, but you know, we're just tasting the characteristics of the cigar, trying to figure out those profiles, and that's it. You know, you're enjoying the moment. You know, we're not trying to make ourselves sick. So if that's ever happened to you and, you know, it made you get a negative thought process regarding cigars and you're thinking about trying it again, try it. But like I said, know your limits. Know when to stop. Do not, you know, think you're gonna smoke a whole Churchill, you know, right off the back without getting sick, because more than likely you will, you know, especially if you're inhaling that smoke too. But just listen to your body and relax. But overall, let me go ahead and take this other band off here. I'm always really careful about taking off the bands, because I do not want to tear the wrapper. I always hate when that happens. I mean, it's not like it's gonna ruin it for me, but it's just a little pet peeve, you know. Plus, anytime I smoke a new cigar, I actually do keep the wrapper, and I kind of have like a little, I'll eventually show it to you guys, like a little wall frame that I kind of pin these on. So I mean, it's just something I do, kind of a little work of art, if you will. You know, what is that saying? You don't really know where you're going until you know where you've been, type of aspect. But overall, we're gonna go ahead and continue on with this final third, and I'll let you know as far as the conclusion, okay? All right, guys, so we are approaching the conclusion to this. So kind of what's been going on is I got a little bit more of that pepper spice, that pepper taste on the tip of my tongue in this last third, so which is another little change. Hey, came back, you know, like I said, I was telling you, was kind of mellowing out from with the coffee and the dark chocolate, but Pepper said nope, I'm coming back for one last little taste, and sure enough it did. So hey, one thing that did kind of develop on this last little end, as you see there, it started to burn uneven. So technically I would touch this up at this point, especially, but I'm already getting close to the end. It is getting a little bit warmer to the touch right here. So I got a couple more minutes with it, but I'm gonna see if it does correct itself. It wants to, but it just hasn't as of yet. Normally I would have just touched this up already, but like I mentioned, you are going out with a little bit more of those full flavors. So you do, like I said, we are finishing with the little bit of that leather with the dark chocolate going into that bitter coffee, with the very tail end of it, a little bit of that pepper going on to the tip of your tongue there. So like I said, very, very nice. Overall, we have been smoking this for about an hour and 10 minutes or so now. So like I said, when it came at the beginning of the video, on average it would be about an hour 15 going into an hour 30, depending on how much you nursed it. But overall, like I said, this is, you know, a good daily smoke, or if you so choose to, every so often, to kind of mix it up. Those full flavors are very, very nice. Like I said, it was a very smooth cigar overall. That slight tightness in the draw, but everyone to each their own. All in all, I really don't have anything bad to say about the cigar, except for coming into that last little end part. But we're already at the very end, so honestly, it's not affecting me a whole much. But overall, it was very, very enjoyable. The burn was pretty good throughout. We did have the 2 ashes that fell off throughout the whole time. The first one I think was more of my hand gesture and vice. The second one just fell off naturally. Remember, like I said, the beginning, you had more of that creaminess. You had that cedar, that little leather taste going onto it. It was very, very well balanced in my opinion. Leading into that second third, you ended up getting more of that bitter coffeeness, going into more of that, the beginning works of that pepper, as well as the dark chocolate. And then of course, like I said, going into the third, the final, you ended up getting more of the coffee notes with the dark chocolate, with that tail end of the pepper at the end. All in all, I did enjoy the complexity of it. So it was very nice. Like I said, I still have a couple more in my humidor that I'll enjoy from time to time. But if you have smoked these, whether it's this particular size or a different size, definitely comment down below. Let's go ahead and discuss it. See what you picked up on. Maybe I missed something. I hope you do like this review. Definitely something, I hope this is some good information for you guys. If you all, whether you're experienced or a beginner, definitely I hope you will come back and watch some more videos with me, discuss them, and just really help this channel grow and develop into something that I think we can be more useful, as far as especially helping everyone out, being a good, let's say a community, if you will, as far as if anyone's got any good questions, something y'all want to review. Like I said, a lot of plans for the future. I just kind of want to see, got to start off small, gotta learn to crawl before I run, so I appreciate y'all during this time. If y'all would please like and subscribe, definitely will let y'all know. Again, feel free to message me at any time. We can always discuss cigars. That's always a plus to this. And overall, I mean, like I said, just enjoy it and just have a great time, Still smooth. Getting a little bit more, like I said, more of that bitterness. But all in all, not a bad smoke. Just that little tail end. But if we had been maybe more towards the midway, I would have definitely touched it up a little bit more. But all in all, can't complain. But catch y'all then on the next one. I'm thinking about maybe doing videos personally, as of right now, depending on my schedule. Thinking Wednesdays for sure, and then eventually developing it into Wednesdays and maybe Sundays. So what I'm thinking is Wednesdays we're going to be doing, for now, cigar reviews, and then maybe once I start doing videos on Sunday, those can maybe be more of how-to videos, or helpful tips or questions that you guys might have, those type of topics, if you will. And like I said, we'll see how this all goes. But all in all, definitely you guys stay safe, especially with everything going on with COVID, and I'll see you all in the next one.